Hey Finance fam, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to give you a simple, very accessible, low-cost way to protect your assets. Asset protection is something that a lot of people worry about. You work really hard all of your life. You don't want your assets to be taken away by creditors, bankruptcy, lawsuits, whatever it may be. So this is something that is on a lot of people's mind. And if it's not on your mind, it should be, because guess what? Anything can happen. And if you don't have the right insurance to protect yourself, you can land in a lot of hot water with the courts. One of the strongest types of asset protection that you can have is via your 401k or even your IRA. But more so, we're talking about qualified plans that are governed under ERISA law. If you're in a retirement plan that is basically under ERISA law rules, you have an ironclad asset protection strategy. So essentially, the Employee Retirement Income Security Act is what we're talking about here. And a qualified plan is either going to be a defined contribution plan or it's going to be a defined benefit plan. So think of a defined benefit plan as a pension. So you may have a pension at work. You may be a business owner and have your own defined benefit pension plan like I do. I have a cash balance pension plan. And so that is what a defined benefit plan is. A defined contribution plan is going to be what you're most familiar with. This will be your 401k, your 403b, employee stock ownership plans, and profit sharing plans. So if you have any of these plans at work, a defined contribution plan that falls under ERISA law, which all of these would, then you have an asset protection strategy, and the money that is in those accounts is very well protected. A lot of people completely overlook this. They get bombarded on social media saying, don't invest in 401ks, buy insurance instead, or whatever is going around on finance TikTok that is absolutely getting people into some trouble with their financial planning. But really what we want is we want to utilize these 401ks, 403bs, and other defined contribution or defined benefit plans because they're giving us ironclad asset protection. So let me show you the actual language from the Department of Labor that shows this protection. Really quickly, just diving into this ERISA information. What is ERISA? And this is where the ERISA laws are going to specify when you might be allowed to participate in your 401k plan at work or whatever your plan might be, how long you have to work before you have a non-forfeitable interest in your benefit, aka your vesting in your plan, how long you have to wait to be vested in your plan, how long you can be away from your job before it might affect your benefit, and so on and so forth, whether your spouse has rights to part of your benefits at your death. So basically, the ERISA law governs all of this. And ERISA isn't making people establish retirement plans or employers establish retirement plans. All it's doing is if an employer does establish a retirement plan, they do have rules that they have to follow to be able to follow the law. So here it is. Can other people make claims against your benefit? And in parentheses, it says divorce. That's another thing that we have to think about. And in general, your retirement plan is safe from claims by other people. Creditors to whom you owe money cannot make a claim against funds that you have in a retirement plan. So again, creditors to whom you owe money cannot make a claim against funds that you have in a retirement plan. For example, if you leave your employer and transfer your 401k to an IRA, creditors generally cannot get access to those IRA funds even if you declare bankruptcy. So essentially, those funds that are protected under ERISA law that went into a qualified plan like your 401k or your 403b, those funds are very, very protected from creditors and bankruptcy and lawsuits. So as far as ERISA plans go, that's how this works. And it's the best protection that you can have that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. For IRAs, IRAs are actually regulated by the state that you live in. So each state has a certain threshold of the balance that is protected from creditors. So you have to find out what state you're in, what that threshold is. Some states it might be $1 million, some states it might be less than $1 million. So you have to kind of find out what your state law is in terms of protection of IRAs from creditors. But ERISA plans, qualified plans, aka, they are going to have no cap on how much money is protected from creditors and bankruptcy. Now, if you get divorced, that is a little bit of a different story. If you get divorced, then the courts can basically give half of your assets to your spouse or a certain amount of assets to your spouse that you are divorcing based on whatever agreement you come up with when you're going through the courts and going through the divorce process. So just keep that in mind, that just because it's asset protection, it's not necessarily divorce protection. Most people don't have the funds to do complicated asset protection strategies, nor may they even want to bother with that because it can be quite expensive and you are essentially giving up control over your assets when you do that. So when you're forming asset protection trusts, they're typically going to be irrevocable trusts. And what an irrevocable trust means is it is not revocable. Once you do it, that money goes into the trust and you can't necessarily undo that. And you may not get the amount of access to the funds that you're putting in that trust that you'd want to get. There are a lot of rules around that, and you have to be very, very careful to not put yourself in a position where you can't access your assets because you're trying to protect your assets or access them easily. And a lot of this stuff is really hard to unwind, and it's expensive to create, an asset protection strategy. And it's really meant for the super wealthy that have the funds to be able to put those things in place, that have the ability to even afford to be able to give up control over a certain amount of their assets. So the ERISA plans, aka, defined contribution plans like your 401k or defined benefit plans like your pension plans, these are going to be super accessible to a lot of people. Even if you're a business owner, you can start your own pension plan. Believe it or not, you can start your own defined benefit or defined contribution plan if you want to go the 401k route. So essentially, it's more accessible than you think, and putting money in these plans is going to be one of the most low-cost ways to protect your assets from creditors, lawsuits, bankruptcies. Another thing that you need to really consider is having an umbrella insurance policy. So an umbrella insurance policy is kind of like, think about it as an umbrella, and it's going to protect you in addition to your other insurance that you have with your auto insurance. So if you get in a car accident and you only have $250,000 of benefits and somebody's claim is $1 million, well, they can come after you above whatever your insurance is going to cover, above that $250,000. That $750,000 is going to be your liability that they can come after you for. And so you want to be sure that you're protected against any crazy thing that's going to happen and cost you a big lawsuit with an umbrella insurance policy. If you own real estate, another thing that you can consider is putting your real estate in LLCs and kind of protecting that real estate that way. Keeping your real estate in your name could cause to be problematic if you're not careful and you don't have the right insurance coverage to protect yourself. You'd be surprised how one bad car accident or one mistake that somebody makes on your property, that could cause them to get very, very injured. If not, it could cause death. And then that leaves you liable for a very, very big lawsuit. So, we are building wealth. We want to make sure we're protecting that wealth. And these are some really easy ways to protect that wealth. So take advantage of your 401k. Check with the state how much of your IRA is going to be protected if you're contributing to an IRA. Make sure you know what that limit is, because your account is going to grow over the years, right? And you want to make sure that you're making the right moves. Maybe that means you need to put more money into your 401k because you're kind of hitting that threshold. Maybe you have a long way to go and you don't have to worry. But retirement accounts are great asset protection accounts, especially these ERISA qualified plans. All right, finance fam, get out there, start looking at your assets, make sure you're protected, make sure you have the right insurance, make sure you get some umbrella insurance if you don't already have it. And if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, comment, let me know if you want to see more videos like this, and I'll see you next time.